everybody, to another exciting episode of Multiplayer, the podcast by gamers. I am your host, Zach Matscanis, alongside the lover boy himself, Javier Ortiz. What's up?
Just doing this again because someone had to mess up the recording, but it's all good. It's all love, baby.
Yep, and Mr. Technical Difficulties himself, Joseph Rue.
Oh, that's my favorite. Always having troubles with my computers. But here I am. We're all good. Audio's working, I think. And gonna have a go at this conversation again.
All good. Luckily, peek behind the curtain. We had a technical hiccup a minute ago, but luckily it was only like a couple minutes in, so wasn't a big deal. If had that been about 15 minutes, I would have personally fired Joe from the show, never to return. He'd be banished to hanging out with Kahan, who is also not here. Who
sentence
nobody
worse
knows
than death.
Where that man. And of course, remember that Multiplayer is all over the place, in your ears and in your face. We are at youtube.com/multiplayered, and we are also at podcast services of your choice. Pick and choose whatever you want. You can do the old Spotify, the iTunes, any of that nonsense. Just close your eyes and spin the circle and just, with pictures of the different podcast services taped up on your wall, and whichever one you point at when you open your eyes, that's the one you can choose, and then type in Multiplayer and we'll be right there. All right, I think we have a good show on our hands. We got I think we got some good stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about Sony a little bit today. Our boy Neil Druckmann, all that fun stuff. I think we have a little video game history in the works.
Yeah.
I think let's get into this. How's everybody feeling?
Feel good. I feel good.
Great. Great. And, I got to say, so I took 2 weeks off because I've been super busy with work. So I took two weeks ago, I took it off. I was just too busy. And then obviously last week we took off just because of the holidays. We just wanted to give each other a little holiday break. So that's what we did. So if you were like, oh, I don't see a new podcast this week. Speaking of last Wednesday, that is why. But I feel good to be back. I was like,
you have a good Thanksgiving?
Sat down in the chair and it was pretty good. I had a pot roast.
Nice.
Because I'm not a traditionalist, so it was pretty delicious. I ate that for 4 straight days, and then I was getting close to finishing the pot roast, and then I accidentally left it out one night and wasted the rest, and I was very upset.
Oh, that's lame.
But I had 4 days worth of a 4-pound pot roast, so
nice.
It was right at the end, so it was delicious. How about you guys?
Yeah, pretty good. I made a pretty good turkey. I just finished it 2 days ago, so
nice.
It lasted me over I think a week and a half or so, something like that. So yeah, it was good.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Joe?
I spent time with my grandparents. I was gonna go home, but couldn't go home because of the travel restrictions and stuff. But gotta have a nice turkey dinner with my grandparents. So
nice.
Very chill. Yeah, very good time.
Do they still have teeth, or did you have to mash it into a...
No, they still have teeth.
A smoothie?
They still have teeth, yeah.
You just turkey smoothies for dinner?
No, they did a great job. They still know how to cook everything, which is pretty great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right, well, that's enough of Thanksgiving. Time to talk about the video games. All right, so first up is Sony. Are they shunning Sony? Let me
Sony shutting Sony?
Shunning.
Oh, shunning.
Are they shutting
the
door on Sony? No. So basically, I'm going to read the beginning of this little article here through Video Game Chronicle. I think it just kind of gets to the heart of what I want to talk about. So according to a report by Bloomberg, which claims that PlayStation 4's disappointing performance in Japan, as well as PlayStation's decision to move its headquarters to California in 2016, have seen its input significantly reduced for its latest console. PlayStation's North American arm, Sony Interactive Entertainment America, that's a mouthful, has seen its influence grow significantly in the past 4 years, following the platform holders' push towards a centralized global structure. The process resulted in a significant number of layoffs across its European operation during the past 18 months as leadership shifted to California. According to Bloomberg sources inside PlayStation's San Mateo headquarters, the U.S. office was frustrated by Japan's marketing for PS4, which believes led to fewer consoles being sold compared to its predecessor, around 10 million units. As a result, I promise I'm getting to the end here. As a result, Japan has been sidelined, that's in quotes, in planning the PlayStation 5's promotion, according to several Japanese PlayStation staff cited by Bloomberg. Employees in Tokyo said they've been left awaiting instructions from California, they claimed. The U.S. office's critical view of the Japanese operation has also impacted its game development efforts, it's claimed. And of course, PlayStation's Japan studio, which co-developed games such as Bloodborne, Astro's Playroom, and The Last Guardian, has seen the rolling contracts of many of its creators not renewed, former employees reportedly told Bloomberg. And it continues to go on for a while, but I think that kind of gets to the gist of it. And then, I basically just, it's kind of interesting. So it's, we're kind of seeing this situation, just to kind of sum up all that nonsense, where in 2016, Sony moved its headquarters, like its worldwide headquarters, to California, where everything's great, and it seems like there's just struggles in Japan now as far as like they're not getting called to the dinner table, in time for dinner. It's like they're just kind of waiting on orders from California as far as like what they're doing as far as like promotional content for the system goes, as far as like worldwide promotions, but also like as far as developers, they're not extending contracts for some of these people, and people like so the creator of Siren and Gravity Rush, and I'm sorry if I butcher this, Kichiro Toyama, basically left to form a new indie studio called Bokeh Games Studio. So it just seems like things are kind of moving away from Japan, which is interesting because obviously Sony is a Japanese developer at heart. I mean, they've been in Japan for like 100+ years. Mm-hmm. It's an old company, but they're moving.
Is it really that old? Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, they're pretty old. I'd have to pull up their actual.
Years old. Wow, that's like pre-World War II time. That's like nuts.
Yeah, but making like electronics and all that.
Yeah.
I don't have their exact date off the top of my head, but I know they're a very old company.
And now they're phasing out of Japan. That's like the big.
Yeah, or at least like, excuse me, at least like, they're phasing certain elements out of Japan. It seems like.
Okay.
At least like their branding and kind of like their development arm for like original PlayStation games kind of seems to be moving away from Japan. Obviously there's some huge companies that make first party PlayStation games that are not Japanese. And I'm going to go through their list of studios here just to kind of give reference. So there's Ben Studios, who is making like whatever that game that just came out. I can't remember.
Oh, that one.
The motorcycle guy.
Motorcycle guy. Oh, the zombie one?
Yeah. What's it called again? Days Gone. Jesus. Yeah. That's even like free on the little PlayStation Plus collection. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
But Ben Studios, Guerrilla Games, obviously is making like Horizon Zero Dawn. Insomniac with Spider-Man. There's obviously Naughty Dog, which is like a huge company. Yeah. San Diego Studios, God of War.
That's Santa Monica.
Sucker Punch. Sony Santa Monica. Make God of War, and then there's Sucker Punch. So I mean, you have these like huge development studios, none of which are in Japan. And then there's obviously Sony Japan, who has been doing things like basically working on things like Last Guardian. They helped out on Bloodborne with FromSoft. The Knack series, Everybody's Golf, Patapon, Loco Roco, stuff like that. And so obviously it's like these games that just in nature aren't bigger. I would say they haven't really made like a AAA game in a very long time over there, like Studio Japan. Even if you would call it that, it's like the Japanese market and the games that are developed there are just obviously a little different than what comes out these days. Trying to trying to compare something like even like Shadow of the Colossus to something like like The Last of Us. It's just kind of a different breed in my opinion. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of I know that was just like a very broad thing I just brought up for everything, but just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on this whole situation with like what feels like the term that's been kind of thrown around is like being Americanized. And Jim Ryan, who's Sony Interactive CEO, basically has insisted that the company is not becoming Americanized. They're just basically trying to centralize. But I don't know. What, Hav, I'd like to kind of start with you on this topic, and feel free to just take it wherever you would like.
It's a really interesting topic because like
there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, there is. There's a ton. I want to ask if you know about this, but in Japan, is mobile gaming kind of taking off and being more popular than at home console?
Yeah, I mean, I would say in general,
right?
Handhelds always do better in Japan,
right?
And obviously the Switch is huge over there,
right?
Game Boy and DS's, those families were all very successful there. Even like the PSP was really successful.
Yeah, and the Vita was pretty successful there as well.
Yeah.
So like,
and I think they canceled that because it wasn't popular everywhere else.
Right.
But yeah, and obviously the mobile market's still huge over there.
Yeah. So maybe that could be a underlying reason as to why this is happening, where it's like, all right, our focus, because this is all about where is the money coming from, right? So, because like any business is just worried about the money. And so if you were to look at this from that point of view, it's like, well, maybe they're just trying to shift focus to the market that yields the most results for them. You know what I mean? And if that is stateside in America, North America, it would make sense to like be close to all your big developers, like you were talking about, like Santa Monica, Naughty Dog, Insomniac, etc. Because then you have a more focused and, like he said, centralized company, And I don't think that means like Japan, any of the Japanese studios are kind of like taken out of the equation, but it's like, I don't want to say they take a back seat, but it's like, look, this is where our income is coming from, so we have to focus mostly here. Now that doesn't mean you guys are going to not continue to create and produce games that you're working on now or have pitched and will be working on. That just means that it's not as much of a focus. I don't know. I don't want to speak for them, and I don't want to say like that like the next Bloodborne game isn't going to be as good because they don't really care about it. I don't want to say that, but it's more of like we have priorities, So like priority one is America.
Uh-oh.
What?
I think we lost Hav.
No.
What? Really?
Oh,
there he is.
You're back. You're back now.
I was gonna say like what? Like I didn't do it. I haven't touched anything.
Did you like hear us say that?
Yeah, I was like, I was in the middle of talking. I heard you guys. Oh no! I was like, wait, what happened? I didn't do anything.
All right, well, just take it back like a sentence.
Yeah.
Basically, like I would say that they have priorities in line now, and their priorities lie with where does their initial dollar come from, and if that's America and Europe, then they're going to focus on that, and Japan takes a second, like a backseat basically, because it's like you're not bringing as much income as we would like for the PS4 and possibly PS5 moving forward, and that's not necessarily your fault, because if Japan in the Asian market prefers more mobile gaming, I don't know how much we can really do about that, except come out with the next PS Vita 2.0, you know what I mean? So It seems more of a, like Jim Ryan was saying, centralizing on where the income is coming from, which now it seems like California, because that's where all their big developers are. So it makes sense to kind of, I don't know, I think it makes sense to kind of, like he said, centralize, you know? And if that means Japan studios take a back seat, I guess they have to. I don't think it should worry people about, like, you know, we're never going to see, like, we're losing Japanese, like, style games because of the Americanization and globalization kind of thing, like that kind of argument. I don't think that'll necessarily happen. I just think it's possible now that maybe, like, titles from, you know, Sony Interactive Japan might become just fewer, or like they don't take the driving seat when it comes to developing stuff, and they're more of like helping hands, like you said, like with Bloodborne, which was a fantastic game. It's a From Software game, but Studio Japan helped out, right? So if they're not necessarily in the driver's seat but passenger seat, you know, I could see that as more of their focus going forward.
Yeah. Joe, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah. I guess I mostly agree with Hav in more ways than one. For sure, thinking that it's not a dumb choice to, you know, market towards the American. I guess, like, try to tap into more in the American market. You know, put more of your investments towards that. I mean, we do have a bigger video game market than Japan, I would argue. We do have, like, there's more money to be made for sure, you know, through, like, and also just, like, the way our, you know, like, the way like American marketing just, like, is naturally exists. It's just like, it makes economic sense, financial sense to, you know, pursue that, you know, phasing into it more, you know, centralizing, as I think that's what you're saying. So I agree on that. Just to play, I guess, devil's advocate, I think that it could be a problem when it comes to, like, creative, you know, decisions. I only say this because I think about, like, how this is very similar to, like, the movie industry and, like, film, since we're all in it. I think the analogy would make sense. It's because, like the way, like, we all know how, like, Hollywood now is creatively influenced by, you know, like, the Chinese markets, because that's where all the money is now. You know, this goes for sports too, right? This whole, like, you know how, like, so there's this whole controversy now that, like, films are being censored or being appealed to the Chinese market, and I just see that the comparison, you know. So, the fact that you know, the Sony is making this decision, it could be, you know, it could be good for us, you know, because, you know, a lot of, at least for American employees, you know, American game developers, this could potentially mean more work for us, you know, more good for the American economy, obviously, right? But I also see it's not much, you know, it's very similar to, like, how maybe on the other side it feels the same, like how, you know, like, people are probably thinking, like, oh, they're Americanizing our games, you know, Japanese people might think this, right? So right. I don't know exactly the Japanese culture over there. They might be like, that might be a good thing. They might think that might be a good thing, but we don't think it's a good thing when Chinese markets affect our movies.
Right.
So how can, you know, I'm just saying, you know, it's similar, but I guess two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, it's like shifting that perspective. And in Japan, is the whole console war, is that a big thing over there? I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know if Xbox, anyone owns Xboxes over there. Because I know it's definitely less popular in Japan because it's an American company, and they're more likely to buy a PlayStation or a Nintendo. But, like, that whole thing, it's not about that, it's about the marketing, right? So like the marketing in the whole console war, it's good for business.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to like kind of shift focus to be like stateside, because all these dumb Americans fight each other over which console's better, but it's the same thing.
But we're gonna make so much money by like
Exactly.
using that dumb, like making them fight over our like stuff. The more they talk about it, the more we're gonna sell.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'll just say this about the whole situation. So at least to me, anyways, it seems like it's a numbers game. You know, it's like obviously there's a lot more people in the U.S. than in Japan. You know, Japan's population as of 2018 was 126.5 million people, and the U.S.
The U.S. is just bigger.
Yeah, the U.S. The U.S.'s population, according to 2019 statistics, is 328.2 million, and then of course I would say most of Europe.
Isn't that like low?
I don't know.
Then like lower than it used to be. Oh, interesting. Okay,
That's a lot of people, bro.
Yeah, it's still a lot. I thought we were like at 350 million at one point, and then I guess we went down.
That's too many.
We're close to it, but still, it's like the U.S. market is basically about 3 times the size, and I would say the interests of places like Europe are very similar to places like North America. So, as far as like games that are being published or developed that you're trying to find like your broadest appeal to. And so I pulled up a couple other interesting stats. So Japan 2019, I have some, basically the top 10 best-selling games over in Japan. There's Pokemon, Smash Brothers, Kingdom Hearts, Mario Maker 2, Monster Hunter, New Super Mario Bros. U, Monster Hunter,
Nintendo
Mario
stuff.
Kart, Minecraft, Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
So that was the top 10.
Wow.
And by far and away, Pokemon is outselling everything
Sure.
like 3-1. And then what's it called? And then in so 2020, it's kind of the same deal in Japan. You have Animal Crossing, Final Fantasy VII, Pokemon, Ring Fit Adventure, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, Minecraft, RE3, Pokemon, Yakuza.
Ring Fit Adventure is a top 3 or 4?
Top 4.
Top 4 game. That's insane.
Yeah. But once again, it's like Animal Crossing by far and away.
Yeah.
I mean, literally outselling everything 5-1.
Right.
So it's like Nintendo kind of has this like stronghold on like the Japanese market as far as like the games that I think Japan is interested in, which is things like Mario Kart, things like Animal Crossing, things like
Pokemon.
Smash Brothers. Pokemon is like obviously huge there,
Yeah.
and a lot of these games are like games you can play handheld really easily, and so it's just I think just like a different vibe over there. And then so here's the top 10 2019 worldwide. You have Call of Duty, NBA, Madden, Borderlands, Mortal Kombat, Star Wars, Smash Bros, Kingdom Hearts, Tom Clancy, Mario Kart. And then, if you keep going down that list, there's like the GTAs, the Red Deads, Anthem, stuff like that. Days Gone is on there for that. And then 2020 is kind of very, very similar. So it's just like the way I see it is that so games like The Last of Us, games like God of War, Spider-Man, all these games, they don't sell as much as you think they do. They sell really well, but they're not like the 10 million, 20 million sellers overnight.
Well here.
Yeah, they sell well here and in Europe, Australia, like basically everywhere other than Japan. They're really popular, and they sell like 3 million, 4 million, maybe 5 million units at the most. But those are like the games that hook, I would say, you watch a commercial, watching the Bears play I got you, Joe.
Gotcha.
You watch the Bears play, you see a commercial for The Last of Us 2 or Spider-Man Miles Morales, and you're like, whoa, look at those graphics. Now I want a PlayStation. You go buy a PlayStation for that game, like that console-selling game, and then from there you're like, okay, I'm going to buy Madden and, lose with the Bears, and then I'm going to play, NBA, and I'm going to play, GTA 5, and you just list out those, Star Wars, the Call of Duties, like all these games that then like the third party games, that's what you're going to pick up. But it was always like and Sony's always kind of talked about this. So it's like their Trojan horse are these like AAA games, like the Last of Us's and the God of Wars and the Spider-Mans and these big, AAA games. That's like, holy cow, I need that console and I need to play that game. Oh, well, I'm here. I'll play Call of Duty. I'll play, Madden. So it's like the games that are coming out of Japan that have always come out of Japan outside of probably Shadow of the Colossus at the time have never been that wow factor game. Like you're not going to look at Patapon or like, Knack 2 and be like, I need to buy a PlayStation 4.
Yeah. It's not really a system seller.
Yeah, it's just not. But, games like Uncharted, you look at like Uncharted 4 when that came out and you're like, I need to buy a PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Because that game looked incredible at the time. So I think that's where their head's at, where it's like, let's have these like European and American studios making these AAA games that are like blockbuster hits that people are like, wow. And we'll put that, in the commercials for every, football game, MMA fight,
Right.
like whatever, and get the general audience like to be like, wow. And then they're gonna buy like these other games. Like if you're making a top 5, I would say a casual player probably has like 5 games, and it's like a Madden game, GTA 5 because that game just sells forever, and like a Call of Duty and like 2 other nonsense games, plus like that Uncharted that they picked the system up for. So it's just like one of those things where it's like, how do we Trojan horse, our ways like into people's homes, and then they'll buy like a few third-party games on top of that. And that's kind of my my feeling on the whole.
It's actually a pretty good idea, I think. I
Yeah,
think it's a pretty like fair assumption.
It's a solid business model.
Yeah, because I feel like if you can win like the hearts of Americans, like they'll almost do the advertising for you. Like they just like know that Americans wouldn't shut up about like how good something is.
Yeah. So yeah, and so I just I feel like that's where their head's at, and that's why they're kind of going the way that they are with everything.
Yeah.
And this kind of leads me into, I know we kind of talked about that for a little while. So I'll be kind of quick on this one, but it kind of gets me into what I want to talk about next, which is just, so Neil Druckmann, who is the director and writer for The Last of Us Part 2 and several other games like The Last of Us, some of the Uncharted games like Uncharted 4. He's been promoted to co-president of Naughty Dog because that dude is just crushing it, like home run after home run for the past like 10 years over there at Naughty Dog. And obviously Naughty Dog as a whole has just been crushing it. I mean, they've like never released a bad game before. It's like every single game.
It's like Tarantino, man.
It's been a while.
Video games.
Yeah, it's been a while, but they are on a hot streak for sure.
Yeah. It's like even like
it's because they take their time. You know what I mean? Like they take
a while,
100%.
Yeah.
Between games, but like that's what you want.
Yeah, I would say, other than Rockstar, I think they're like probably the number one like developer in the world, where it's like nobody can touch them, nobody can tell them what to do, and they just like every single thing they take, they send out into the world is just absolute gold. Yeah, they take their time and they just have, I mean, these masterfully made games. It's incredible. And say what you want about, how you feel about the plot of Last of Us 2. I think it's incredible personally, but I mean, that game, you can't say anything bad about that on a technical level. That game is like absolutely insane how good it is.
Oh yeah, no, it is a chef's kiss,
Yeah. And, I think it's like, it's one of those games that's like, it just gives Sony more and more bragging rights. So it's like, look at this game. Like, look how good this game is. And now,
for sure.
you know, they're
acclaimed.
making, and they're making, you know, an Uncharted movie, and they're making a Last of Us
TV show
on HBO, all being like written by Neil Druckmann, and the Last of Us shows being co-written by the showrunner of Chernobyl, and like they're just and they're just crushing it. Yeah, that Chernobyl's really good.
Other than
the
dude,
British
it is
people
so
not really
to
doing
today too. It is like
it
hilariously
really is.
relevant to today. But go
Man,
on.
if that showrunner, like there's scenes in that show that are so intense, like, you know, the guys that they're going into basically they're like treading in water, you know, trying to stop
Like
you
a
know,
leak
basically
or something,
and it's like, man, that scene alone, it's like I could see why they picked this guy to like be a part of this, because like the intensity in that scene, like these guys treading water in the dark.
It's crazy because they make the scene intense with like an invisible like force of evil, you know, like there's like nothing that's visibly threatening them, but you could still feel how like scared and like intense it is. And if they can apply that same into like this Last of Us show, it's gonna be like of course, it would be. It's only worthy for HBO, like that kind of like content.
100%. But yeah, so, you know, it just so it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, of course, like I totally see why like Sony is just leaning real hard into their American studios that are just knocking it out of the park left and right. I mean, the minute you could take a video game and also make basically they have like incredible like vinyl albums you can buy. There's, you know, they're making movies, they're making TV shows. Like the minute you could just start taking your IP and branching out into these other paths,
merchandising.
Merchandise. It's just like that's where the money's at. And, you know, I don't think you can really do that with Knack 2.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah. But anyway, before we move on, did anybody want to add anything to any of this?
To Neil Druckmann?
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that guy, dude.
Can I have a job?
Keep doing you, man. Honestly, that's like what you could do in like this kind of industry, I feel like.
Yeah. Dude, he started as a PA. I think a production assistant for programming, I believe. That's off the top of my head, but he started as a PA on Jack 3. So, you know, it's crazy. Like it's been a minute, but it's also not too long ago. So it's like he went from PA to freaking president, like man. Co-president.
It very much reminds me of like Tarantino, like at this point, because like he also comes from like humble beginnings, but like he just like kind of stuck to his style, and like now he's like, you're right, no one can touch him, you know?
Yeah.
Gonna be like a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I mean the work speaks for itself, right?
Yeah,
like, hit after hit, even stuff that he wasn't necessarily like writing or like directing. You know, like he didn't direct Uncharted 1 and 2, but he had a hand in it, and those games are fantastic.
Yeah, you know? I think as a game designer for Uncharted 1 and 2.
Yeah, he was
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so too. He was a designer, but still, just like everything he touches is just gold.
Yeah, and they're at the and they're at the point now that I love, where it's just like they don't have to like, so you know, if Sony gives them notes at all, I bet it's very minimal. It's like they're like a no apologies, you know, kind of development studio now. It's like, look, we're writing a game that like we want to be true to the characters and wherever that takes us. So it's like they wrote a game that like pissed off a lot of people with The Last of Us 2, but it's like it makes sense why the characters did what they did in most of the situations, and it's like
a good game.
It's just it's an incredible game. Anyway, let's move on. I could toot their horn all day, but let's not. Okay. So kind of going in a totally different direction. So this news happened a couple weeks ago, but the Hitman developer IO Interactive, they announced Project 007, which is like a new Bond game that that they're working on. And, they haven't really announced anything other than that. But honestly, I'm super excited because I don't think we've had a very good Bond game in a while. It's something that obviously GoldenEye is the one that, everybody looks at and is like, oh my God, this game is incredible. And it was for the time. I mean, I absolutely loved GoldenEye. And then that just like, that got me, I don't think I had seen a Bond movie before I played GoldenEye. And I played GoldenEye. I was like, I need all
Who
of
is this man?
Yeah.
Wait, does it like actually like show
Who
Pierce
is this
Brosnan in like the video game? Did they like kind of like
Oh yeah.
make Pierce
Yeah.
Brosnan?
He's in
That's
the game.
Awesome. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that game's great. It's really, really good. And then there's been some basically after GoldenEye came out, the license got picked up by EA, and they ended up making some really good games with that franchise. So I kind of want to go through this history a little bit. So I just want like both of you guys give me a guess as far as how many James Bond games you think have been made, video games.
All right, hold on. One hint: is it more or less than Assassin's Creed games? Because we went over that list before.
Oh gosh.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
that
I don't
list-
even know that one.
Because Assassin's Creed is like I
I
think
think-
19 or something.
No, I think
Is
it
there
was
really
more than
19
that.
titles now?
It
Oh
might be
my
more than that
goodness.
now. It's more. I think it's like
Yeah.
23 or something.
Yeah, it's definitely in his 20s. But there's, it's. Here's my hint. It's probably more games than you think it is.
Okay, then I'm gonna guess.
But is it more than
12.
Assassin's Creed?
I'm gonna guess like 11 or 12.
Okay, Joe is 11 or 12.
I don't know. I'm gonna go with 16.
You both. Whoa, what is happening?
What?
My buddies are watching
Must be
football. My bad.
Oh, I didn't hear
No,
it.
all good. No, come on. Anyways, so maybe he's yelling the number of James Bond games, which is 25.
25.
James Bond games.
Wow, 25.
Yeah.
It is an old franchise, of course. Yeah.
I thought maybe it was like 10 to 15 tops, and man, I was way off too. So, starting in 1983,
Dang.
James Bond 007 came out for the Atari 2600, Atari 5200, and Commodore 64, followed by a couple other games like that are basically coming out for systems like the 64 and stuff. And I'm just kind of moving through this sort of fast, but yeah, basically like 83, 85, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. Just right there were 7 games, before the 90s even hit, which is pretty crazy.
I guess
All coming out
technically
for-
that's one of the most popular IPs going back then. Like, what
Yeah,
was especially
100%.
if you want like to sell things to adults, like James Bond.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the like it was selling all like the expensive like stuff to like the basically the adult market.
Yeah.
Like the fancy cars, the nice suits,
Yeah.
all that shit.
This man has sex
Yeah.
with lots of women and
Yeah,
saves the world.
exactly. Buy everything he
But-
has.
But what's funny
Even
is like
gamers
you
can get in on this. Sorry.
yeah, you get into all of that, and it's like, oh yeah, the style, the women, all this, and then you get to like games that are coming out in the Atari.
Yeah, I
and
was
it's like like little side-scrolling games with like a little pew pew.
Yeah,
guns
little
and-
block man just.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we get into the 90s, and you start to get into like NES games, some click adventure games, some more kind of side scroller games. The last one being in 1993, James Bond 007, The Duel, which was I think a Super Nintendo game, if I'm not mistaken. But then we get into 97, which is when Rare did GoldenEye, or at least that's when it released. Was originally supposed to be a Super Nintendo game, and then totally like scrapped it, started from scratch, and made an N64 game, and came out 2 years after the GoldenEye movie did. And then we get into this one. I didn't know this existed, and it's wild. So there's a James Bond game that also that released in '98 for the Game Boy, and it's a Legend of Zelda clone. And apparently it's really good. I've
What?
never heard of it.
What's this game called?
It's called James Bond 007.
That's okay.
And it's developed by Sapphire. And yeah, apparently it's a Legend of Zelda clone. And I was looking at pictures and it's like, oh my god, this looks like Pokemon or Legend of Zelda. It's kind of wild.
I'm gonna look it up right now on my phone. Game Boy.
Legend of that's
James Bond 007 Game Boy, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But
oh
then,
my god, the screenshots does look like Zelda.
Right?
Really?
It's kind of crazy. I really want to play it now.
I'm gonna see if I might have that on my DS. I did
I would be.
I did
if you do, I'd be interested to play it.
I did like a year ago. I did like a giant hack on one of my 3DSs, and I just
and you just get
gotcha.
every
I
game.
filled it. Yeah, I just filled it with all the old Nintendo emulators.
Nice.
So,
dude, that's the way. That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so basically after GoldenEye and this Game Boy game, EA picked up the license and they made that terrible PS1 game we talked about.
Tomorrow Never Dies, bro. I have that disc. I can get that disc right now. I have it.
That game's so bad. But then they made some great N64 and GameCube games that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about. Like The World Is Not Enough was for the N64. It was a lot like GoldenEye. It was really good. And then Agent Under Fire for the GameCube was fantastic. Like a fantastic original story. And I had a lot of fun with that game. And then Nightfire for the GameCube was incredible. And I think like the multiplayer in that game is so good. Like you could play as, different characters from the James Bond series and series of movies. I know you guys aren't big Bond fans, but do you know who Oddjob is? The little guy with the hat that can throw the hat and kill people.
Yeah. Well, I know that one.
So I'll tell one quick story.
Do you ever see Austin Powers? When the guy can throw his shoe at the,
yeah.
Yeah, it's making fun of that scene.
Yeah.
That guy.
Oh, okay.
Because in the original movie, he throws his hat and it can like decapitate someone. Yeah.
Okay. I've never seen the James Bond movie, so I have no idea any of these people.
Well, so you could basically play as him in the Nightfire multiplayer.
Oh, that's awesome.
So me and like 3 other buddies were playing one day, and the maps are huge. And there's a map that's I don't know if you guys are Halo fans, but I want to say it's Blood Gulch. Is that the one from the first game with like it's kind of a sprawling map with 2 bases on each side?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so imagine Blood Gulch.
Yeah.
But it's like a snowy mountain, and there's like 2 cabins on each side, and then running down the middle is a lift, like the little
like a gondola.
Like a gondola. Gotcha.
Yeah, that runs across, and you can do like capture the flag and stuff like that, or like just a death match. And so you can get like snipers and rocket launchers and all sorts of stuff. And if you play as certain characters like Oddjob, you can also throw his hat. And so this map's pretty long, and I was on top of one of the cabins with a sniper rifle trying to pick somebody off, and then my buddy Bob was on the other side, excuse me, on the roof as Oddjob, and he took his hat and he threw it, and it went all the way across the map and killed me. I looked up with my sniper rifle with the scope, and I see this like little black hat flying at me. I was like, "What the heck is that?" And then it just like hit me. It was like, da 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 da. I was like, "What?" Man, I wish
just a baller hat throw.
Oh,
how does that hat kill people though? Like, I don't get it. How does a hat kill you?
In the movies, it's just supposed. I never seen it, but in the movie, it's supposed to be like just show how badass he is, right?
Yeah.
What kind of hat is it?
It's like a bowler hat.
Yeah, it's like a regular like not like a top hat. It's like a top hat kind of, right?
Oh, no, maybe it is a top hat, but it's still just like, it's a hat. But that's just, he's just awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird series. There's a guy that can eat metal and all sorts of nonsense. It's silly. But anyways.
Why has no one ever told me about the James Bond? Sounds much more interesting now if you have
James
people like
Bond,
that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of crazy moments.
Yeah, I mean, it's Austin Powers isn't far off from James Bond.
That's awesome. Yeah. Maybe I will watch those movies.
They're pretty great. And, the older they are, the sillier they are, where it's like, this spy that announces who he is wherever he goes and drinks a comical amount of alcohol and just has sex with every woman he sees, and it's complete nonsense. It's it's a mixture of like it's basically Archer. It's not far off.
It's not far off from Archer.
It's very like it's a very like famous franchise, but probably definitely the first like a pioneer of its kind. Like it started off. It's definitely influenced so much pop culture.
Right, the spy genre.
Yeah, the whole espionage genre was basically started from that.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Oh my god, I need to watch this movie now.
But anyways, so I have like so many fond memories of some of the Bond games that have come out. Basically after Nightfire, they started to go downhill again and came out some pretty bad games, and eventually Activision picked up the license for a while and made some bad games, and now Frame I was about to say Frame IO IO Interactive is gonna make a Bond game, which seems like a pretty perfect studio to make a new Bond game. Like, obviously they make the Hitman series, which is probably a little more brutal as far as like, if you tone down the brutality of like what is going on in the Hitman games, you're pretty close to a Bond game.
Nobody throws hats in Hitman.
You could probably throw a hat and kill somebody in Hitman. You could kill people in so many weird ways in those games. So man, I'm super excited to see what they do with it, and this actually gets me into my next topic pretty well. A good segue. Basically, I've been playing through like the PlayStation collection on my PS5, and I finally got around to playing Battlefield 1. And I gotta say, the studio that made Battlefield 1 did, which is DICE, they did a fantastic job with that game. It got good reviews when it came out, and I knew I'd get around to playing it eventually because I'm a big like history nerd, and I love the Great War and everything that goes along with it. And I gotta say it's really good. Like the sound design is probably the best part. It's like fantastic. And there's some like set pieces in that game, like going through trench warfare and stuff that's like really, really good. But it's also like, it's a Battlefield game. So I feel like they were kind of forced to, you could tell like the vision they wanted to go for. And I feel like they had to like scale back because it's, EA and them like, it's like a multiplayer focused game that they also make a story for. And so, the story ends up kind of being a little shorter than you want. And also I feel like there's some things they could have kicked it up a notch. Like at the very beginning of that game, they're like, it's World War I, not everybody survives. You're not going to survive this. And basically you start off in like a trench and you get killed pretty immediately. And then you jump into another body and you get killed pretty immediately. And you just keep getting murdered.
Just keep dying.
And honestly, it's like, and you just jump into different people's bodies. And it's like, this is great. Cause this is kind of what war is like. It's not you versus the world. And like, you're just going to take on an army by yourself. It's just not realistic. And then they did that for about 20 minutes. And then they were like, okay, so it's you versus the world. And you have to take on an army by yourself. And it's like, no. It's like, but man, the bones were there. Like, I loved what they were doing with the game. And I wish that they had just kept going with it. And it just got me thinking about this topic of like, who would make like a really good war game? Because that, coming from me, I'm a huge history guy. I love history, especially like World War I, World War II, I think are like fascinating times in history. And you could just study that forever. And, people like, they make a career out of just studying those wars because of, how much history changed in those times. And, I was even playing through oh gosh, Death Stranding, and there's a segment in that game where I don't think it's much of a spoiler, but you start to go into these like weird time periods like World War One, and you're in these like trenches, and it's like, whoa, this is fantastic. I wish somebody would make just like a straight up like World War One game with all the disparity and sadness and brutality that war has to offer. And so I started to get into thinking like I would just excuse me. I would love to see a developer like Naughty Dog just take a crack at like a World War One game. I keep just tripping up on this. Because, with a game like The Last of Us, they're so good at despair, and they're so good at things feeling brutal and messed up, that I think they could, and they're so good at just like within this messed up world, here's like some personal stories of like a few people, and an overarching like problem, but like, the stories about these few people and their struggles.
Sure.
And it's like, you could take that and do a game about either war, one or two, and it could be fantastic. So that's kind of my, that's where my head's been at, like me daydreaming about like, man, I would love to just see Naughty Dog take a crack at like a war game like that. And man, it could just be so brutal and so sad. And just at the end of it, I would just feel so tired, and it would be perfect. That's like 100% what I want to see from a game.
Right.
Is just give me like,
it's heavy, man.
Give me give me something heavy. Give me like, I have 20 bullets left in this machine gun, and I'm trying to like save my entire, platoon, and I run out of ammo, and I'm just like stabbing people with a bayonet to death, and it's just like up close and personal and not nice. And it's like, that's the kind of messed up stuff I want to see out of my games. And then I want to go play play Mario 64 right after that. Not nice. I mean, so I want to kind of give you guys, I feel like
Zach.
But I feel like I've been talking for a while. So do either of you kind of have an idea for like a war game?
Yeah.
That
I was thinking about
let's
it.
Hear it.
So have you ever played the game like Advance Wars on Game Boy Advance? So
yeah,
I loved that game so much, and it was a war game, right? But it was like a chess kind of war game, turn-based war game, where basically you move these units. Yeah, and I would love maybe like a more, I don't know, maybe just like a fourth game of that. Or maybe they can like implement like a whole like 3D element to it, right? In a way.
Or
so
just
something, something like that. Yeah, I imagine something very similar to like a mix between Advance Wars, and like the game like Pacific, or Midway or whatever. Battle Stations, I think they're what it's called, right? Like Pacific and Midway, and like Civilization, the game.
Sure.
Where it's like kind of like maybe it's like this huge map, but you have all these units. And maybe like Square Enix can develop it, maybe do an RPG aspect to it. I don't know, something like that. But following up on what you said, you reminded me, what you were describing reminded me a lot of like the actual movie 1917, if you've ever seen it.
That's a good movie.
So, and I think one of the great things about that movie that I remember me and my brother were talking about was like, everyone's talking about like, how it's like, it looks like it was filmed in one shot. And we were talking about like, why was that so like appealing? Or he was like, why did it look so familiar? And he was like, it looked familiar because it was like a video game. It was very similar to like the flow of a video game. Where you're just following this character, very little cuts. And you're just kind of like you're in that moment. And I was like thinking, I'm like, yeah, that would be kind of a sick video game scenario if you're like this like soldier in World War One and you have to like deliver, you have a certain amount of time to deliver this message, but you have to go through all this crazy treacherous things, and then maybe you go through a lot of emotional toil too, like just whatever gets you into that like that character would be a very solid game.
Santa Monica could do that. God of War was all one shot.
Yeah, and you make it visually amazing too. If you make it visually look as good as in 1970 did,
they definitely could. Yeah,
they killed it. Yeah.
I want to see Kratos in World War One.
Oh my god!
Just like bashing people to
And then
death.
you could do some kind of cheat code where you play like another character. You know, you could play like
Throw
Master
your
Chief,
axe through the
Chief in like
field.
World War One, and just destroying people with plasma grenades.
That's what you meant by not nice, right? Just bring out a super OP sci-fi guy and just kill everything.
An energy sword, just
Wow, I kind of forgot God of War was one shot. That
Yeah.
totally slipped my mind.
Yeah,
Totally slipped my
all
mind.
one
It's been a
shot.
couple years now. Man, I love that game.
Yeah.
Anyways, Hav, you got anything for us?
Well, besides Santa Monica recreating 1917, I kind of went a different direction when you initially brought up the question. So when you said what kind of war game, I thought of Star Wars, and
That's okay.
and I think a really interesting, fun Star Wars game could be done by Bethesda. And I have a couple different routes I can go with.
like an open world game, like a Star Wars
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. Actually,
So like, because my thinking is like a lot of Fallout games, like, and I'm gonna use Fallout 3 because I think that was my favorite one. But in Fallout 3 and a lot of the other ones, you can choose like factions. If you want to be kind of more good or evil or whatever. And I think it works perfectly if you were just this kind of Ronin style Jedi guy, where you can be like good actions, you lean more towards the Jedi faction. Bad actions, you lean more towards the Sith faction. And so like there can be an ongoing war. If you were to go outside of like the typical lightsaber character, then you could be like a type of like a Mandalorian kind of bounty hunter kind of character, like Boba Fett. And it's the same thing though. You can still like you can either work for like a mercenary for the good guys, or you can work as a mercenary for the bad guys. Because in Fallout 3, like there are some parts of the game where like I think it's like the Brotherhood of Steel are fighting. I think it's called the Enclave, and like you're just in the middle of just action, and you're just like and you could literally just like run kind of far away back and just kind of watch, and just like, man, these guys are killing each other. Or you could just take part.
Like, pick a side.
Yeah, or you can take part in the action, and like if you hit somebody who was on your good side, then they're automatically against you. And I think that would be super cool in the Star Wars universe, because I still think the Star Wars universe is vastly not used in video games right now.
Yeah. I
Did
completely
you
agree.
did you ever play Knights of the Old Republic?
No,
Or Republic 2?
no,
I mean, that's basically what you're describing.
Well,
Like,
then
it's-
make that game again.
Well,
But it wasn't.
me then.
But that was that wasn't Bethesda. That was LucasArts, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was also.
Well, it's LucasArts and BioWare.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I thought about this question, I thought of BioWare originally, and I was like, man, get the OG BioWare team from Mass Effect 2 and make a Star Wars game like Mass Effect 2. Where it's like you don't even have to be like a Jedi or a Mandalorian. You're just straight up like a ship of soldiers or whatever, and you're just
The real
trying to...
question should be that the people who made Knights of the Old Republic should be making the Star Wars movies. That's I think should be the actual like.
And the games.
Anything out of this comes out of it. That should be what.
and the games too. Like we barely get any Star Wars games. It'd be nice to have good ones. Although the
Like the
Squadrons game
cinematics,
just came
dude,
out.
that Knights of the Old Republic make already is so much better than anything I've seen Disney come out.
I've seen like stuff that I've seen like videos on Knights of the Republic, and I've seen some gameplay, and I've always been like, man, this looks fantastic. I don't know why I never played it when I was younger.
Pick it up, dude. Get it on your PC.
I might do that. That might be a good idea. I might have to.
Yeah, that's what I recommend. Because I heard also the lore and everything. It goes like really deep, and those games are just fantastic. And you can kind of make a ton of different choices and kind of decide light or dark and all that kind of stuff. So
You know what? After we're done, I might download it on my computer.
yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Do it, baby.
I kind of want to get Last of Us, honestly. Yeah.
You should.
If I remember correctly, because I'm not a big Star Wars guy, so I haven't played those games. Also, those are PC games, which I just wasn't big on PC at the time. But I think KOTOR 1, actually they're also on Xbox if I remember correctly. But KOTOR 1 is like more RPG and less like kind of action oriented, and KOTOR 2 is like there's some more action involved in it. So I don't know. Look at them. Maybe
I get both.
yeah. But anyways, so we're getting low on time, but wanted to do a little video game history real quick. Hav, I think you had something in the works for us.
I did. So just a little small news. Melee, Super Smash Bros. Melee came out about 20 years ago, December 3rd, 2001.
That's so crazy.
So like just
So
How's that 20 years ago?
I know, dude. I remember.
I
when it
remember
first
thinking
came out.
it was the most amazing.
Me too.
Like graphics wise too. I was like, this is so much better.
Yeah,
And
I was like, this is like we can't get better than this. Like I'm playing Mewtwo and I'm fighting Kirby. Like it's
Dude,
never
yeah.
gonna.
And I remember thinking, when you see like the legendary Pokemon in that game, I was like, oh man, they're so up to date too.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they have like Sequoia and like Entei and all these like legendaries, and then
I
now
remember
look back,
fighting
I'm
the like my favorite thing about that game were the events and like the final event where you have to fight Ganondorf, Mewtwo, and Giga Bowser.
yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
That was great. But it should be it's 19 years, correct?
19 years.
A little over 19 years.
Yeah.
So we're almost at the 20th anniversary, which is just nuts because like I remember, playing that game like day one, with friends. Like,
Yeah, man.
me and my buddy Jason, we got that game, and at the time he had the like one of those big projector big screen TVs, like the big fat chunky boys.
Mm-hmm.
And
Best
man,
way to play 'em.
we sat up like we basically played that game like all night, unlocking characters and stuff. Like I remember that memory
Yeah.
from 19 years ago.
Yeah.
Trying
Just
to unlock
us like
every character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
just sitting there all night eating bagel bites and playing Smash Brothers on the big screen. Trying to beat like freaking Giga Bowser and his pals.
Yeah, dude, it was rough.
It was awesome.
But
Love that game.
Yeah, I mean, if there's another one, there's actually another game that I saw that came out the same day, 2001, December 3rd, PlayStation 2, exclusive.
Same day.
Same day. I want you to end, and I will say a little hint. Something in the show that we talked about is a little hint. It's connected to what we've talked about in the show.
PlayStation 2.
Ooh, I think you gave me the right hint. I'm gonna go with Ico.
Nope,
Oh,
PlayStation 2.
you're wrong. Get out.
all right, PlayStation 2. So it's probably Sony Japan.
Nope.
I don't
No?
know. Kingdom
Okay.
Hearts 2.
No. I think Kingdom Hearts 1 came out in 2001 or 2002.
Okay, dang it.
I'll give you developer.
Okay.
Naughty Dog. We
Oh,
talked about Naughty
so-
Dog so much.
Oh,
So Jack and Dexter 2?
No, but
Er-
close.
Oh, probably 1 then.
Yeah.
When did the first game come out?
That's it.
I was thinking it.
you got it right. It was Jack and Dexter 1.
It's Jack and
Nice.
Dexter.
Well, I
December
was
3rd,
thinking
2001.
It was, for some reason, I was thinking Jack and Dexter 1 was a PS1 game, but I guess not.
Jack and Dexter,
Yeah.
the precursor legacy.
Oh,
Yeah,
December 3rd,
'cause-
2001. Same day as Smash. Or Melee.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Naughty Dog used to kind of be like, they would make a game for a console and then kind of move on with the next one. So it makes sense that it's like PS1, Naughty Dog's working on Crash, and then PS2 they moved to Jack, and then with PS3 they moved to Uncharted, and at the end of like the PS3's life cycle is when they kind of broke that cycle of theirs, and obviously they've released Last of Us, and then on PS4 came out with Uncharted 4. So it kind of, but like those first 3 generations, with the leaps in technology, they kind of moved on to like a new franchise every time.
Yep.
It's they've had a very interesting history. Naughty Dog has.
Yeah, it's had a great history. They've been a part of my childhood since I first had a PlayStation, and I always heard like Crash Bandicoot, a Naughty Dog creation. Like I was like, oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah, I had a friend when I was a kid. I hope he's watching this. When we were kids and we were playing through Crash Bandicoot, he kept we got in an argument where he's like, "No, Crash Bandicoot is a dog because it's made by Naughty Dog." I was like, "It's in his name. He's a bandicoot, you idiot!" Like,
Your friend's not too smart.
oh, what an idiot! Like, why would you think he's anything but a bandicoot?
I guess it's a kind of dog, right?
It's
I have no
the
idea.
dogs of the jungle.
Yeah, it's an Australian jungle dog.
So stupid. What a stupid argument to have.
It's funny.
Mickey Mouse isn't a mouse. Idiot.
Seriously, it's just so dumb. But anyways, that's our show, and that was a good little history right there.
That was sick.
I like that, man. Right around the same time as like Smash, had Jack and Dexter coming out.
Yeah,
A lot of
man.
things
It's a good
happened
time.
since then. Yep.
Yeah, yep. And Nintendo's still making Smash Brothers, and Naughty Dog's having people kill each other with like rusty, screwdrivers in the eye or whatever's going on
And
in the
both
last.
are very successful.
They sure are. But thank you so much for joining us today. I think this ended up being a fun little episode. Starting with some weird things happening in Japan, and we kind of brought it all the way around with Naughty Dog, and then back to Naughty Dog. Good job, everyone.
Yeah,
I'm
for
proud
sure.
of us.
Great episode.
But you can make sure to like, subscribe, all that fun stuff all over the place. Write us like a review on iTunes. Tell us if we're awesome or not. Subscribe on YouTube. That helps us out. But also check us out on Instagram at Go Multiplayer, where I try and post like silly pictures and stuff up there.
Some
of,
good,
fun
some
things.
good quality pictures up there.
Yeah, thank you. I've been trying.
Yeah.
Trying to do things. And then you can find me at Zach Matzganis. That's ZACKMATZGANIS on Instagram, mostly a little bit of Twitter, but mostly Instagram, where I've been trying to post like pictures of my collection, and kind of just talking with like other video game collectors in the community a little bit. Man, there's some cool people out there with some interesting collections. I've just been checking out through things like Instagram. So kind of been like, just getting into that lately with like, oh yeah, here's somebody posted some pictures of coins from their like video game coins from their collection. I was like, I want to, now I'm interested in this now. I want to post some of my coins. So, posted a few of my coins. It was a good time. Where can we find you?
At Jumpman_Ortiz on Instagram. Basically, I don't really do the other ones. I think Instagram's most fun.
Oh yeah, you can do some silly stuff on there.
Yeah.
And Joe, where can we find you?
You can find us at Broken Glitch Majors podcast. And I think, on Spotify or iTunes.
Very nice. Okay, cool. That is our show. It was real nice to not have Kahan here. Thank goodness.
Just so great.
Made the show way
He's
better.
done. He's done.
So great.
We'll never
Hey
see
guys,
him
out
again.
of here. But thank you so much, everyone. We will see you next Wednesday
Hell
for
yeah.
another exciting episode.
See ya.
And remember,
We love you.
we love you.
I love you.
Peace.